Hello my Fazbear fanatics and welcome to the channel. Today I will be addressing and theorizing on the possible identity of Andrew from the Fazbear Frights books. Now, before I get started, please be sure to grab your favorite Fizzy Faz and Michael's buttered popcorn because it's about to get real good. Remember to leave a like and subscribe after the video, and let's get started. So, to start off, I want to give a brief summary of what the book describes Andrew as. He was only a little boy, a cute and playful little boy, with his curly black hair and rosy cheeks. The boy's adorable factor was diminished slightly by just two things. First, he wore a cheap alligator mask that covered his forehead and his eyes. The gator's mouth rested on the boy's impish nose. Second, the boy had a toothy grin, just a little too devilish to be endearing, one notch past acceptable on the scale of mischief, but he was a little boy, and little boys like to look like this. As you can see, Andrew is a little boy with curly black hair and rosy cheeks who can turn into a dark shadowy figure and wears an alligator half-face mask. Wait, alligator what? Hold up guys, the only alligator that we've ever seen is Monty? Okay, I know, but Cypher, why would we be revisiting Andrew of all the characters, and what does this mean for the games? Well, after the release of the Help Wanted 2 update, I believe that the connections from Tales with the Tiger Rock plushie and the Mimic's appearance in Ruin leads us back to the books. Now, how did we get to Frights? Well, if you read Frailty, it brings up a certain victim of Eleanor named Jessica who has a heart-shaped pendant from To Be Beautiful. So, by this logic, this connects back to Andrew, who has a huge impact of the Fazbear Frights books, and majorly in the Stitch Race Singers, which all connects back to the games. So, with that out of the way, let's get started with our something I want to personally connect to Andrew, and connecting him to Monty is under the idea that Monty may have killed Glamrock Bonnie after the release of Ruin, is that this could possibly be paralleling back to Andrew and his intense anger and hatred for William Afton, who is represented by a Bonnie animatronic, Spring Bonnie. Now, I know, why would Monty kill Glamrock Bonnie? Well, if you believe that Monty's ride in Ruin was a cover-up story by Fazbear Entertainment, then there is an idea that Monty was actually jealous of Glamrock Bonnie from being the odd animatronic out of the bunch. As Monty has a stage in his area separated from the main four, who would be on stage, and you know who else is the odd animatronic of the bunch? The Mediocre Melodies. Speaking of the Mediocre Melodies, there was a really interesting discovery on the Steam page. If you look at the new Secret of the Mimic image on the Steam webpage, there you will see an alligator with a hippo and a frog. Wait, hippo and a frog. Hold on now, where have we seen a hippo and a frog before? The Mediocre Melodies! So wait, if Monty is in fact on the Steam page in Secret of the Mimic, then that would mean that Monty was made in the 70s. Now, with this Monty idea of connecting Monty to Andrew, and if this is in fact the case, this could very well mean that the alligator mask that Andrew is wearing could very well be the Monty mask we see in Ruin. In FNAF Ruin, one of the collectibles is a Monty mask that you can also see hanging from the Monty arcade machine, which was missing in the FNAF Security Breach originally, which is an interesting detail pointing us to look at Monty a little closer. But wait, if Monty is in fact part of the Mediocre Melodies, what happened to him and where is he? Well, I believe that Monty is in fact a forgotten member of the Mediocre Melodies. Now, there's more to this, such as this picture of Monty and Mr. Hippo together in a news article. There is an instance where we get the doc ending in Security Breach, where when Glamrock Freddy disappears with Gregory, he is replaced with the Glamrock Mr. Hippo. But this isn't where it ends, because there is a log you can collect in Security Breach, and it says,
"With Bonnie out of commission, we are making Monty the new bass player. Parts and Service has already done the proper adjustments. This could be a good thing. Monty could be even more popular than Bonnie."
Another thing I would like to bring up is 5 Laps at Freddy's. While yes, it is in fact in beta, there is a very interesting connection I have made with Andrew. If you look at the stands on the bleachers, you will see the Happiest Day kids on the stands where they will wear masks from time to time, and they are wearing the exact mask from the Happiest Day. And if you look at the kid with the green mask, you can clearly see that this is in fact an alligator half-face mask. The reason we know this pixel mask is a half-face mask is because of the shadow it casts on the rest of the face of this kid. Though, that's not all. Also in 5 Laps at Freddy's with the same kid, he can occasionally completely black out at times, making him look like a shadow. Now, as mentioned before, Andrew is described as looking like a shadow in the books, though this could just be a programming bug due to it being an early demo. Now, connecting this back to the Happiest Day and the idea that this kid near the exit door could in fact be Andrew. Now, the only problem with this is trying to figure out who the blue mask kid is, and personally I believe he is Night Shift, but that's a theory for another time. There's one character that comes to mind. Monty is the most aggressive of any animatronic in FNAF Security Breach. Though why does this matter? Well, we know that the Vengeful Spirit and UCN, who we believe to be Andrew, who is represented by an alligator in the Man in Room 1280, is obviously aggressive. Though, how do we get an explanation with Andrew to Golden Freddy? We know that the Vengeful Spirit has a strong connection to Golden Freddy throughout UCN, a forgotten character in the eyes of Fazbear and the public, and a character that speaks through the mediocre melodies. So, now we get into the similarities of the alligator and Golden Freddy. If you consider that if Secret of the Mimic takes place in the 70s, this alligator costume was a part of the mediocre melodies, as you have a purple hippo and some frogs representing Mr. Hippo and Happy Frog alongside this alligator. Though mysteriously, by the time we get to Pizzeria Simulator, there's no alligator in the lineup for the mediocre melodies, with no hints or mention of him. This is similar to how Andrew is a member of the MCI, though is completely forgotten about and never mentioned and only shows up later, which is also similar to the story of Fredbear and his replacement by Freddy Fazbear, as we know that eventually the Fredbear or Golden Freddy suit eventually is just forgotten about in the public eye, or at least in Fazbear Entertainment's eyes. Now, who else was replaced in the mediocre melodies then? Well, none other than this alligator. And who are we missing from our lineup in this game? Well, we have an elephant, a frog, a hippo, and a pig. We never see a bear in this game so far except for the Fredbear Family Diner posters. So who replaces our good old alligator friend here? Well, it's none other than Ned Bear. 2 characters, Fredbear and Alligator, replaced by bears and later forgotten about. This then explains why the Vengeful Spirit speaks through the mediocre melodies, as Andrew was forgotten about out of the 5 MCI, like how the alligator was forgotten out of the 5 mediocre melodies. Which leads me to the final piece of evidence for today, which is the fact that Monty is the only animatronic from the Glamrocks excluded from FNAF Help Wanted 2 and the levels, just like how Golden Freddy is singled out from Help Wanted 1 and the levels, and much more of the franchise. This is why Andrew shows himself as the Golden Freddy. Andrew was throwing in William's face that the one he thought was tormenting him, as Cassidy, is the one who spring-locked William, constantly tormented him in life. Through and through, Andrew's trickery tricked us, the player, to think just like William, UCN is throwing William's beginning, middle, and end. So, I'm going to call this theory Gator UCN. All in all, I'm very satisfied with this theory. I really think me and Raven cooked with this idea, and I really couldn't have done it without Nara Raven's help. But then again, anything can happen. with the books and connecting them to the games, considering the huge controversy over them. Overall, I would say this feels like a pretty solid idea considering I'm Stitchline Games. Now, with that idea, I'll leave you all to discuss your thoughts and theories on who Andrew is in the comments. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts and theories, and with that being said, I hope you all have a fazerific day. Bye-bye!